With the fall and winter months upon us, are you feeling the urge to burrow in a stock of food like the squirrels for the long, cold months ahead? In today's visit, you and I will jump into pantry organization and expansion. Our goal is to create a more efficient and, of course, beautiful space by shopping, DIY projects, and touches of fall decor. Hi friend, if you're new, I'm Rachel from the blog StoneCottageHome.com, where we cultivate the art of home. First off today, I'm delighted to share with you, we have a lovely group of ladies joining us with all kinds of autumn homemaking inspiration.
We have the kind Amy FRITZ from her channel, Amy FRITZ. My quiet, creative friend, Miss JOETT from Loving My Home. The sweet Liz Quick with blog and channel both called The Quick Journey. And gracious farm girl Leah from the Leah or Home blog and channel.
I'm anticipating visiting their homes and being inspired to prepare my heart and home for the seasons ahead to serve my family. All of their channels and videos will be linked below for you to enjoy. Now for today's visit. First, let's take a peek at the inspiration pictures for this pantry. Next, I'll show you the area that we are going to be working with, and then I'll take you shopping where we will look for creative ways to expand and stock the pantry. This just might involve antiques, ironstone, harvesting herbs, and lots of baskets. Stick around to the end of our visit and I'll share with you the vintage artwork I've been saving or have recently found for this space.
For starters, I'm looking for a freestanding cabinet to expand our pantry space. I would also love to use this vintage green color, and I'm hoping to use jars, baskets, and vintage storage containers for our bulk foods. For decor, I would like to use some of the copper pots and pans that I've picked up at the thrift stores. I also love the look of ironstone platters arranged on a wall and antique shelf lace for a vintage touch. For efficiency, I would like to use wall storage and hanging storage. Some blue and white would be good to carry our theme from the rest of the house. To brighten this dark space, I would love to find a pretty lamp at the thrift store, and it would be wonderful ambiance. To personalize this space, I'm hoping to find some vintage art at the thrift store. Welcome to my pantry, friends. This is where we're starting. The space is long and narrow and fairly dimly lit. On the right-hand side, we have a washer and dryer with storage above. In between the dryer and the deep freeze, there is a little cabinet that holds our kitchen appliances. I would love to give this little cabinet a makeover and use the space on top to create a cozy little nook with food storage. I'm pretty sure this cabinet was built with the house by the original owner in the 1960s. It is rather rickety, and the top is actually an interior door just sawn in half. Since this is a budget makeover and the cabinet fits perfectly in the space, it'll do just fine. On the left side of the pantry, we have a wonderful amount of space, perfect for expansion. Right next to that white cabinet at the back, I would like to place a freestanding antique cabinet, maybe from Marketplace. We'll have to work around that floor heater, and these floating shelves can be removed. This tall white cabinet we call the canned goods cabinet, and it is the perfect place to store all of our canned goods. The shelves are the right height and depth, and it's surprising how much you can fit into this. For starters, I'm picturing this cabinet with a fresh coat of paint. This would be a great opportunity for introducing that vintage green color that we like. And then I would like to reevaluate what we have, replenish our stock, and use some baskets and other types of vintage containers for storage. To finish off this canned goods cabinet, I would like to replace the hardware, and I do have some handles on hand. They just need a little polishing up. The space above the canned goods cabinet could be for more storage or for decor. We'll just have to see. Here is the other end of the pantry. Not much going on here, but I think a little art would help. Now that we've looked at our space, let's go shopping and see what we can find. With my inspiration pictures in mind, I have baskets at the top of my priority list. As plentiful as baskets are, sometimes it is still challenging to find ones that are truly useful. My preferences include square or rectangular with straight sides. I give all my baskets the squeeze test to be sure that they are sturdy. And I prefer ones without handles, although if they come with a handle, sometimes you can just clip it off. My favorite style are the hand-woven split oak baskets. These are usually at the antique store, but on occasion you will come across them at the thrift store. Besides shape, the next thing I look for is size. Often what you will find are very small ones like this, or very large ones. It sounds like Goldilocks. I'm looking for the one that's just right. Oh, let's see. This is a good size. Square bottom. Oh, round top. Close. As I mentioned, we plan to bring the vintage green color into our pantry, along with blue and white, to carry the color theme throughout our house. These cobalt blue storage jars are gorgeous. Now, I have had this pantry remodel in mind for at least a year, and it was about a year ago that I found this beautiful copper and brass antique lantern at my local thrift store. It was marked $12, but that day, everything in the store was half off. Two things caught my eye on this shelf. First, this little insulator looked like the perfect size and color for a doorstop in the pantry. Secondly, the large ironstone platter looked very promising for serving and for wall decor. I loved the green edging, and it was a great price. I have a couple other ironstone platters, and with this one, I bet we could make a wall arrangement. Hanging these platters on the wall would be beautiful and practical because it would free up my storage and make them more accessible. This particular antique store has a lot of kitchen paraphernalia, so it's a good one to go for, not just to shop for specific items, but also for ideas on storage and display. I am hoping to find decor for the pantry that is practical and pretty, things I can use for storage, but also things that I can actually use in the kitchen, such as these copper pots. I like both of them. The hammered texture is probably my favorite because it's so reflective. Now, this particular antique store is kind of a mix between an antique store and a thrift store, so the prices are a little bit better and the items are a little higher quality. Now, as I was looking for storage items, there were things that popped out that I didn't have on my list, and sometimes these are the most fun pieces to find. What caught my eye in this display of vintage dishes was this antique Indian hand-blocked wall hanging. It was unmarked, but I asked the shop owner and she made me a deal for $5. It is the perfect kind of old world touch that I was hoping to find. Okay, next up, let's get some bulk foods for the pantry. At this large grocery store near us, they have a fantastic bulk food section. This part we're looking at now is all the salty goods. In this next section, they have every kind of pasta or couscous you can imagine. Here, I'm going for some orzo. This multicolored pasta is perfect for thickening up soups and adding color and flavor. While we're in the pasta section, we're going to get some whole wheat penne. The next section offers a rainbow of beans, peas, split peas, and lentils. There are many things in this category that we love to eat. We have found the best lentil for cooking that doesn't get mushy is the French lentil. One end of this bulk goods section starts with the salty treats and it ends with the sweet. Here we have every Jelly Belly you could imagine, gumdrops, runts, Skittles, M&Ms, chocolate, licorice, it goes on. Okay, shopping done. Now let's jump into this makeover. First things first, let's get the wall painted and this tall canned goods cabinet. For the green, we are using Pesto paste by Behr, and for the mushroom brown, we are using Universal Khaki by Sherwin-Williams. I cannot tell you how much I love this green color. Now to share with you a treasure I have found on Marketplace. Of the antique cabinets that I came across on Marketplace, this one stood out to me the most. I liked the size, I liked that it was up on legs, it is made of oak, it has a charming handle, good shelving space inside, and a spot on top for decor. What I couldn't see from the pictures is that the glass is antique wavy ripple glass in an amber color. Absolutely gorgeous. This glass will give an antique filter no matter what you store inside. I already have a fun idea for what to store in here, and I can't wait to see what this oak looks like against that beautiful vintage green. I am so grateful to my sweet neighbor for helping me go pick up this cabinet in her truck and for her wonderful paint job on this wall. Still can't believe we got this cabinet for $50. Okay, we're getting down to the finishing details. Matt secures the cabinet, he hangs the floating shelves, and swaps out the hardware. Now the part I've been waiting for, stocking the pantry. Alright friends, now let's stock and organize the pantry. I thought I might share with you some of my best tips for how to do this in the most efficient and attractive way. First, consider the shape of the space that you have. Here, my shelves are shallow and tall, so the jars are a perfect fit. For visibility, the smaller jars are in the front, larger jars are in the back. This is also a good system for backstock. The large jar can be full and the small jar you're using out of. This large basket was a great find. It is tall and narrow, perfect for the shelf, but also for holding extra rolls of aluminum foil, saran wrap, or parchment paper. On this bottom shelf, I'm storing some miscellaneous food items. This basket is for instant type foods. The little town we live in often has power brownouts, so this is very convenient in the winter if the power goes out. The middle basket holds our bouillon flavorings. Grouping items of the same kind is an efficient use of space. Creating kits like this last basket with baking products is also a way to make your pantry very functional. Baskets are also a great way to minimize unsightly things like these plastic shopping bags we intend to reuse. By corralling small items in a basket, you obtain a cohesive look and you're able to move them all at once very easily, like this. We all know when organizing something, it takes a time or two before you get everything just so. Remember that rickety appliance cabinet? Here it is with a beautiful facelift, fresh cream, bright paint on the inside, and our happy vintage green on the outside with polished up, swapped out hardware. Sometimes there is great satisfaction in homemaking if you just do the best you can with what you have. Isn't this cute? With a smart new makeover on the appliance cabinet, I'm motivated to go farther. Let's begin by tucking these unsightly cords out of the way. Then let's start by layering from back to front with this Indian hand block textile. Next, I will add a brass tray that I found at an antique store last fall. You may remember us creating a tea tray together. Then for an exciting find from the thrift store, this Art Deco stained glass lamp was $10. One of my best tips for any space, if you're wanting to add instant charm and coziness, is a lamp. Just look at that homey glow. To take advantage of the vertical space we have here, I'm using this metal hanging fruit basket. This was also my grandmother's and will hold our extra potatoes and onions, kind of like cold cellar storage. In case you might be interested in some of the items we've used to organize and decorate our pantry, I have found wall baskets, storage baskets, a metal hanging basket similar to this one, as well as an Art Deco lamp for you and have linked them below. To go along with the cold storage of potatoes and onions, I have these garlic cloves that fit inside a tiny wall basket that perfectly fits on the wall to maximize our vertical storage. Then for another layer of color and pattern with an autumn theme, we have an ironstone bowl thrifted for $7, which holds our extra eggs. The bowl of eggs is tucked neatly underneath the hanging basket to make room for the blue and white canister full of clippings of Thai basil seeds for next year's garden. A wooden tray to catch drill bits and loose change from the washer, and my great-grandmother's colander round out this cozy nook. On the canned goods cabinet, I have my grandmother's telephone box and a touch of autumn decor in a basket. Here is a sneak peek at the artwork that I have reserved for this space. This cross-stitch was thrifted for less than $3. The texture, the colors, and the homespun charm is perfect for this space. These ceramic chickens were also my grandmother's, while the brass and wood candlesticks were recently thrifted. It is delightful to see this pantry coming together. I really had a hard time picturing what this second part of the wall would look like. Here you see Matt has repositioned these floating shelves, which I would say is one of the best ways to use an awkward space. Not only do they allow you to use the vertical space, but they are movable, so you can reposition them if you think of a better configuration. Speaking of movable, I would say that looking for an unfitted freestanding cabinet is wise because you can take it with you if you move, save a lot of money versus built-in cabinetry, and you can rearrange your pantry to suit your changing needs. This year in the garden, it was very hot and dry, and somehow this seems to have been the perfect environment for herbs. Here I am harvesting some common Italian basil. As you can see at the ends, it already has bolted and has some seed heads. At this end of the garden, we have Thai basil, which is absolutely delicious in curries. It has a slight licorice scent and a little bit of spice. My goal is to dry the leaves from both of these basil plants for use throughout the winter, as well as drying the seed heads for next year's garden. In addition to these basil plants that we have in the backyard garden, I also have a rosemary and a thyme in my front kitchen garden. Each year we add a couple new herb plants to our garden, and over time, I hope to have one of those beautiful formal English kitchen herb gardens. I am so pleased with how these turned out, and especially with the possibility of having dried herbs over the winter months. Now for a little DIY project. Remember that inspiration picture at the beginning? I would like to add a vintage edging to our shelves. So I went through my stash, and this piece of eyelet from my grandmother is just the perfect size. Now I tried staples, small nails, and double-sided tape, but in the end, what worked is good old hot glue. And if at some point I change my mind and decide I would prefer not to have the edging, the lace will easily pull off and the glue can be scraped away. Altogether, this simple DIY project took about 5 minutes. I already had everything on hand, so it didn't cost me anything, and it added such a personal touch to this cabinet. As promised, here is the artwork that I have found to decorate and personalize this pantry space. Now, this large acrylic painting was found one day at the thrift store for $13. This pair of English silhouettes was found by a friend of mine for $7. To me, art is like the icing on the cake or the cherry on top. It makes such a difference in how an entire space comes together. Are you ready for the before and after of this pantry makeover? Let's step back in time. Friend, here is where we started. Can you believe how bare and plain and impersonal this space looks? Here's all that lovely space we had for expansion. Now, let's take a peek at the after. Already, I spot a warm pool of light welcoming me in. There are baskets of food, splashes of color, and oh, such a homey look altogether. Do you think there's a touch of Tasha Tudor in this pantry? For those of you who have never heard of Tasha Tudor, she was an American illustrator and writer of children's books, born in 1915. I will link a few of her most charming books down below. Now there's a fun story behind these floating green shelves. Matt actually found these one day on a job site in the dumpster. He brought them home, we painted them green, and he added the pegs so that I could use them as vertical storage and hanging storage. Now friends, for those of you who love the organizing part of this pantry project, let me know what was your favorite. And for those of you who just loved the decorating, I would love to get your feedback too. Do you have a small, dark, or awkward space that you're working with for a pantry? I'm hoping that this small pantry makeover and organization visit has given you some wonderful creative ideas for expanding and organizing and beautifying your own pantry. In looking at the before footage of this area, it really is amazing to see what you can do with a little elbow grease and shopping your own house. I hope this has been an encouragement to you to do the best you can with what you have. This pantry is so much more efficiently organized and easy to use and appealing. In the baskets, I've created some kits. The one that looks like a picnic basket is full of cookie cutters and sprinkles, ready for a shortbread or sugar cookie baking day. Now, for those of you who are curious, all of the pieces that we specifically bought for this pantry makeover came to less than $100. We also ended up donating 3 or 4 boxes full of storage containers and tools that we no longer use. Matt and I both are very pleased with how this space turned out. Not only was the investment and the effort worth it, but friend, we want to encourage you. You can do this in your space too.
Friend, if you are inspired and would like to experience more visits like this one today, be sure to subscribe on your way out and pop over to visit the ladies who have joined us today with their autumn homemaking inspiration. I'm already looking forward to our next visit. Until then, take care. I'm already looking forward to our next visit. Until then,